Hello everyone and welcome to the new video on this channel where we are going to be looking at the filter formulas inside Google Sheets. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting video as we're going to look at four functions which complement the function of filtering data in Google Sheets. Okay, this is going to be a little different from the usual, selecting your headers, putting a filter and then filtering data like this. So this is going to be a little more dynamic in nature. We are going to be using these formulas to understand how you can use the same operation and manipulate the data that you already have. Because remember, whenever you have a data set, you are not going to be using everything inside the data at a given point of time. Sometimes if you have, let's say, 10 columns, you'll probably be using just 3 or maybe 5 or just 2. Okay, so sometimes you have to eliminate a lot of columns just because you don't need them, and then you have the other angle where you have to filter for a specific value, right? And only have those rows come into the analysis which match the criteria that you have set. All right, so we're going to be looking at formulas which come around this purview. So but before we do that, I'd request you to please subscribe to my channel, as I'll be doing many more videos like this regarding data fundamentals, data analysis, data cleaning, and to some extent data literacy as well. So do hit that subscribe button to watch all my upcoming videos. Thank you very much. All right, so let's look at what are the filter functions we are looking at in this case. All right, so I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. Yeah, so if you come to insert and if you come to function, if you come to filter, you can see four functions here. One is filter, sort, sortn, and unique. Okay, so the most important of one of them being filter itself, because there are things that you can do with this and a lot of others can be added in combination with it or can be used as a standalone formula in itself. Okay, so when I say that we're going to be learning all the filter formulas of Google Sheets in this video, it's going to be these formulas. We are going to be covering all these formulas in this video. All right, so let's get started with that. And now I have a data set in front of me. So this is a supply chain data set that we have, which talks about product types that is being shipped around, the price, the demographic, revenue, availability, and a lot of other information. Okay, so we're going to be using this data set and we're going to be understanding how all the formulas work. Okay, so it's going to be very simple. What we are going to do first is we're going to first reduce it because this is quite a big data set. Okay, so I want to start filtering this and seeing how many rows do we have on these, right? So let's say we'll start with product type as one of our filters, and you can see that there are some set of products. Okay, but before we do that, let's understand the first formula which I'm going to start with. That is going to be the unique formula. Okay, so as the name says, unique formula is unique rows in the provided source range. So essentially that means your remove duplicates. So whatever operation you do as remove duplicates in Excel or even in Google Sheets for that matter, right? It's basically that, but in a more dynamic fashion, right? So for example, now if I come here to this tab, so I marked this tab to do a filter, but I'm just going to show you how the unique formula works. Okay, so if I type unique, so it's a single range, essentially a single range formula, but you have two optional ranges as well. So it's saying whether to filter the data by columns or by rows, and whether to return only entries with no duplicates. Okay, so by default this is false. Why? Because we are only taking the distinct values, or rather the unique values in a given column. Okay, so now if I put this, I'm just going to, if I select a single column, let's say I select this one because I want to see how many product types are there and what product types are there. Okay, so if I just do this, and you can see there are only three values: hair care, skin care, and cosmetics. Okay, so we know that in this data there are only three categories of products. So similarly you can do it for other things as well. Let's say demographic or carrier or location, for that, or even the routes, right? So my guess is that there are going to be like about 3 routes, maybe 4 cities or 5 cities, right? But in any case you can always combine them and then look at how you want to. You can always add those columns instead of this one, and then see how many unique values are there. Okay, so very simple, straightforward approach to using this. Okay. Now, how is this different from remove duplicates? See, in remove duplicates, you just remove the duplicates and then you use it in your data set or whatever, right? Or you can probably gather information. In this case, this is more dynamic. And why is that? Because if you add this and if you add any other value, now let's say if I come here, let's go to the last row that we have. Okay, I hope I'm not filtering anything. Okay, doesn't look like I am. So let's say I come here, okay, and I just add another row. Let's say I'm duplicating this value, but this is going to be what will this be? Skincare, hair care, cosmetics. What can we write this? We can write this as something else. Medicinal. Yeah. So I've created a new value here. We had 3 values initially. Now there's a 4th one. And how do I know that? Because you see the value that I just added as a fake data has now come into the product type as well. With remove duplicates, what happens is you select the data, you get the duplicates, and then you paste it wherever. But if new values get added up, right, into your data set, if they get appended, then this has to be done manually. Okay, adding this value to that list has to be done manually. Whereas with the unique formula, whenever there's a new variety of data that populates in your data set, it automatically comes into your list. Okay, so this way you can keep track of your unique values in the product or unique values in some other category that you want to see. Okay, if there's a deviation, of if there is an addition that you're expecting, and if it has been logged into your data or not. Okay, so and another advantage is if you're using, let's say, a drop down. Let's say you have a drop down here, okay, and you have let's say you've created a certain tables based on this data set and you want to do an analysis, and let's say somebody wants to see it, everything by product type, so they can just choose this and choose any of these products. You can connect this data validation to this, and I'll probably be covering this in a separate video, but you can connect this drop down to this one. So what happens then is whenever there's new categories that come in, the new categories keep getting added over here, and then your drop down remains updated. Otherwise, what happens is if there is new values expected and your stakeholder comes to the drop down and sees that there is no new value that has come in, and that can become be like, okay, why is a new value not added, and we want to see the numbers based on that, right? So that way this can become much more dynamic. So very simple formula but very useful, and we'll test out a few combinations in this video itself with the other formulas. All right, so that's about the unique formula. Now let's look at the filter formula itself. So if you see this, we have many categories based on which we can filter this. So let's do like this. So I want to take let's take what do we take? Let's take the product type itself. Okay, so I only want to see rows which have skincare as a product type. Okay, so essentially what you're doing is you are trying to filter this, right? If you come here, you put a filter and then you filter data only for skincare. So that's what we are going to do. So I'm just going to come here and say filter. All right, so if I open the syntax, it shows me that first argument is a range, condition 1, condition 2, and so on and so forth. So essentially it's saying first you have to select the range of the data where you that you want to filter, and then you want to specify the condition. So if you see in this example, there is an A2 to B26. This is the range and this is the condition. A is greater than 5. A2 to A26 is greater than 5 is one condition. D2 to D26 less than 10. Okay, so this is condition 1, condition 2, and you can write multiple conditions like this. Okay, so that's essentially what this argument means. Okay, so now let's say I'm now that I want only data for skincare, so I'm just going to come here and select all these columns. In fact, I'll just type it out. That'll be much easier. A to M. No, I think we have more than that. X. All right. Okay, so you can also convert this to a named range and write the name of the named range itself, so that you don't have to mess up your selection or things like that. Okay, So we have selected the data, the range, okay? And now I want to take the value for A is equal to skincare. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to choose this range and specify the name, which is skincare. So that's the condition we have. And if I enter it, now you can see all the values that you're getting here is only for skincare. Okay, so you've essentially just filtered the data as is. Okay, now again the same question, what is the difference between filtering here and filtering there? Again, you might want to take only particular section of data and keep it in a separate tab, or maybe analyze it, analyze only within that purview. Okay, which to make that simpler, sometimes you may have to remove that only that part of the data for your needs. All right, so this is where your filter formula comes into the picture. Okay, now you might be wondering, there's only data over here but there are no headers. Okay, but if you look at my data set, you have headers over here as well. And if you look at my formula, I have not excluded the headers. Okay, so if you see here, I have not excluded the headers. I have put the complete column A and X. Okay, so now the question is, why is there no headers on this? The reason is because filter formula does not take the headers. It only takes the values that come under the headers. Okay, so there are two ways you can deal with this. One is just to simply copy this whole thing and paste it over here if you are not going to make any changes to your columns. Or there's another way you can do it. You can use a V stack. So you can use this formula called as a V stack. So this is basically to stack certain ranges over certain ranges. Okay, so what I'm going to do is V stack, and I'm going to select the oops, I'll rather do it like this. So with V stack, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the this range first. I think I'm just going to do it like this. I'll just come here and select this. Okay, so this is my range. I'll just copy this so it'll be easier for me to write the formula. Okay, so basically this is the range of my header, and this is the filter data that you are seeing over here. Okay, so essentially I'm saying stack this and stack this together. Now if I do this, you can see that the header is also included in the result. Okay, so there are two ways you can do this depending on what works for you. If you are not filtering out the columns, now in this case I have not split out columns, everything is as is. Okay, so I have done it as is, and so which is why I can just take it as is and add it. Okay, let's get out of this for a while, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste the columns as is, just to keep this video a little simple. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, add it over here. All right, now we have added one condition over here. I can add multiple conditions, right? So let's say I can add another condition, and let's go this time with something more numeric. Okay, so let's say I have costs over here. Okay, and I want to see, let's say I want to see all costs that are above 500. Okay, so what I'm going to do is again the same thing. I'm going to select that column, yeah, this one, and I'm going to say greater than 500. So remember, this is a numerical filter, which is why I'm not adding any quotes and I'm writing it as is, whereas this is a text filter, which is why I have to specify the text within double inverted quotes. Okay, so make sure you understand this difference when you're writing your formulas. So when I enter this now, you can see everything, all the values are greater than 500. Okay, so we have it for product type is equal to skincare and cost is equal greater than 500. Okay, so you can keep stacking more and more conditions inside this filter formula itself, so that you get only the rows that you need or the data that you want to see. Okay, so let's say if I'm saying for product type for total cost greater than 500 and product type is equal to skincare, the revenue generated. So if I just do a quick sum, I see I'm getting 156,000 rupees, or that's like 1.5 lakhs. Okay, so that's the sales that has happened. This is a data set that I've taken from Kaggle, so I cannot speak for the authenticity, but that's what our data shows, and we'll just go with it for the sake of convenience. Okay. All right, the next thing that we can look at is to understand how we can use other filter formulas in combination with this. Okay, so just going back, we've seen how we can add the filter formula very easily on this, right? How we can add multiple conditions in this. Okay, now let's say I want to sort this data. Okay, so let's see, I have costs over here, and I have revenue generated over here, right? So we would want to see what is the revenue generated, what is the highest revenue generated, or top 3 and things like that, right? Based on which carrier, which supplier, which location, and all that stuff. So what I can do is I can simply go to the next filter formula, which is the sort formula. So I'm just going to show the syntax over here. Okay. So what does the sort formula do? The sort formula asks you to specify a range and sort the column. Okay, sort the based on which column. Okay, so that's the range, that's the first argument. Then you have the second argument as sort column, which asks you as to by which column do you want to sort this given range. And then you have the is ascending, okay, which is basically asking if you want to sort this in ascending or descending order. Okay, so the way it's written is true or false. Okay, so if ascending is true, it will sort in the ascending order, and if you write it as false, it will sort in the descending order. Okay, so similarly you can stack more columns like this. So sort column is ascending is 1, then again another sort column 2 is ascending 2, and so on and so forth. You can do that, but I don't think it's very feasible to work with more than one. But for the sake of understanding the syntax is why I am making a mention. Okay, so you can take this and you can sort any data. Okay, so like for example, if I just take only these, so if I just take only 3 columns, let's say I just take only these 3 columns, or rather, yeah, just take these columns. I'm just going to lock them so that we don't mess up the ranges. There you go. Now the sort column, for me in this case, the sort column will be number of products sold. So I'm just going to select that as my next argument. Okay, so the first argument is the entire data table that I want sorted. Second argument is the column that I want it sorted by. So in this case, it's number of products sold. And then is ascending is the next argument. Okay, so let's go with true first, and then let's go with false and see how different the output will be. Okay, so I'm just going to say true. And now you can see it's the same data set, and also you can see that the headers have gone down. Okay, the headers have gone down because we have included that in this as well. If you actually exclude it, then that will not come. So if I say A2 to E26, okay, what happened here? Expected, okay, yeah, there's a mismatch in the argument. So basically, because it is A2 to E26, this has to be E2 to E26. The size has to be the same, or else these formulas won't work. So that is something that you have to keep in mind, that the tables you're comparing. Because let's say now this has 25 values. Okay, if the whole table has 25 values, let's say I'm going to sort this table further, then the column that I choose here also should have 25 values. It can't have 24 values and sorted. So that's where the error comes in. Okay, so now I have this column sorted by this value here, right? It's in the ascending order, so you can see how it is increasing. Now if I change this to false, you can see the output has changed. Now it is going from the descending order. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort this data by the revenue generated, for which I'm going to write the sort around this formula. So now this becomes my range argument. Okay, now sort column is the column that you want it to be sorted by. Okay, now this can get a little complicated because you're not sure as to whether you want to write the column from the main data set or you want to write it from here. Okay, so that can become a little tricky if you go to write it by column. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to use a number. Okay, so which column is revenue generated? 1 2 3 4 5 6. So I'm just going to type 6, and I'm going to type false in this case because I want to see it in the descending order. And you can see the whole result has now been sorted by revenue generated. Okay, we have the range between 9655 to 1839. Okay, so this way you can see which carrier, which supplier, what's the shipping costs, what's the inspection results, and all those things, right? So that's the thing. So it's this product, that this delivery that happened which generated us the highest revenue in skincare. It's not the cumulative number. All right, now there's another variation which is going to be the last formula in this set of filter formulas, which is Sortn. Okay, now what does Sortn do? Okay, so let's use this table itself as our reference, and I'm just going to just clear this. So if you see, Sortn returns the first n items in a dataset after sorting the rows. Okay, so basically it says that you first sort the data and then you give me like maybe the top 5, top 10, or bottom 5 and bottom 10 values. Okay, so now in the previous case we saw the values being sorted in the descending order of revenue generated. Okay, so we are going to be using that over there as well, but first let's see how to use it over here. Okay, so Sortn also works in the same way, but the only thing is we are going to be looking at range n display ties mode. So that's another optional argument. That is a number representing the way to display the ties. I don't have much clarity in this, but let's try using it and figuring it out. Anyways, it's an optional argument, so we can skip it, but the other things remain the same. Okay, n is a number, so data to be sorted, n is a number of items, and then comes the same sort column and is ascending arguments. Okay, so same thing, I'm just going to be selecting this, and then I'm going to be n. So let's say I'll put 5. I would just want to see 5 values. We can skip this, or rather, yeah, we can just skip this. This a number representing the way to display ties. Let's put 1 and see what happens. Sort column is going to be this. So I've selected that. And is ascending is going to be false, as I wanted in the descending order. So there you go. Now you have sorted this in the descending order, right? And you have 5 values over here. Okay, I'm not sure what display ties did. If I put 2, doesn't look like it's making much of a change over here. So I'm not exactly sure how this works, but at least we know that it works in the same fashion as a sort formula, but you can specify how many values do you actually want to see. So I've put 5 values now. If I put 10, I'm going to get 5 more values over here. Alright, so in the same fashion, we can use this formula over here. Now we already have a sort added over here, so I'm just going to change this to n. Okay, range is ready. I just need to add number of elements. So let's say I'm going to add 5 here as well. Display tie modes, I'll keep it as 1 because we know I don't see a change there. Sort column is 6 because it's column F, which is 6 from the left, and false, it's in descending order. Okay, now when I do this, now you get to see only 5 values, the top 5 values. Okay, the top 5 shipments based on which we generated the highest revenue. Okay, so instead of seeing all the values, we were only seeing the top 5 values in this. So essentially, this is the range that we are looking to sort. Okay, the number 5 over here is how many elements do you want to see. I have assigned display ties mode as 1 for now because I'm not really sure how it works. 6 is the number of the column. Okay, you can, depending on which column it is from the left, you can write that column, and then false is whether it is ascending or is descending that you want to add it as. Alright, So I think this was a helpful tutorial on all the filter functions and how to use them in combinations as well. This can become very interesting if you actually start using them in your day-to-day data activities, and it can make your analysis and your data cleaning, wrangling processes much simpler as well. Okay, so before we end this video, I have one more simple application to show you. We've seen how to use the sortn with filter, and we've also seen the filter as a standalone function, but we haven't seen unique with filter. Okay, and it functions in the same principle as well, that you need to use the formula around a given range. Okay, so for example, let's say I'm writing another simple filter formula where I'll not take many columns. So I'm just going to say, let's say I'll take this, okay, and column A, oops, I'm just going to say column A is equal to, or let's say let's say revenue generated is greater than 500. Okay, so what's happening here? Now this is another thing you need to understand for all these formulas, array formulas, and even the filter formulas as such, that if you have something that's obstructing, in this case you see this is obstructing, if you have things that was there in the as data as obstructions in your sheet, these formulas will not work. Okay, this works because I have only asked to show 5 values, but if I make it 10 values, and even this is going to throw me an error. It's going to say that something is there in A10, so that's why the data can't be loaded. Okay, so you need to take care of this as well, and this is how formulas can break if you have obstruction. So if I remove this, so now you see you have all the data coming in. Okay, now in this case what I want to do is I want to say unique. If I put a unique around this, let's see what happens. Nothing really happens. Why? Because a unique only takes from a single range. Correct? You're only taking from a single range to meet a criteria. Okay, what if I take only AB? It comes in the same way. Okay, so instead how you can use unique and filter together. Okay, unique and filter can be used together if you want to get only specific values, specific row values for a given condition. Okay, so that, and there are no duplicates in the values that come in. Right, as long as it's a single column that you're taking and you're filtering for a specific this one. Now in the previous case, if you see, we did not have if you see in the previous case, our supply range data was from A to B. We put a condition F is for greater than 500, but we are getting some results over here. Okay, so essentially what is important is that you select the entire range so that the column is also included, so that you know that you're getting filtered for the right data. Alright, so that's about using the filter formulas in Google Sheets. I hope this was useful. I hope you can use this in your day-to-day work and help others with this as well. Please do like this video if this was helpful. Please do comment and let me know what you think about this video and what are the videos I should be making on this channel. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe to my channel as well. It gives me a lot of validation to make these videos in a timely manner. So please do that. Let me know what you think about these videos, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.